Good morning, everybody. Hope you had a great weekend. Really proud of the guys, excited about the win. Hard-fought win on the road. First time we've won 2 in a row to start the season since 08 and 09. Jeremy told me this morning it's the first time we've ever beaten 2 ACC opponents in the first 2 games. So that's something that these kids have accomplished, and both these games were really like openers. They were teams that we hadn't played before since we've been here, didn't play them last year. They were teams that had changed coordinators, had changed head coaches. We had a little bit more on Boston College than we did Syracuse, but because they had a couple of games, but they changed a lot of things coming into our ball game. These young people on our team and our staff's been incredible to fight COVID and all the different changes that have occurred. Going on the road for the first time is different, and I'm really, really proud of them. So really excited about the win. Happy that we're in the top 10, understanding that early rankings don't make any difference. And I told them that. I said the good thing for you is that people have given you the respect that they feel like you should be there. The tough thing is you've got to earn it to stay. And that's very, very important going forward. And usually we improve the most from one week to the first week to the second week. This should be like our second week. And we're playing a team that we played last year, that there's still a lot of unknowns for us, but at least it's an opportunity for us to get better. Players of the game for Boston College. For us against Boston College, Michael Carter was the offensive player of the week. Just had an amazing day. He's got such great vision. He took care of the ball. So he's the offensive player. Defensive player, it's so many great plays on defense, but Trey Morrison made the play to win the game. So that, without question, at the end. And special teams player of the week is Jonathan Kim, because he's 11 for 11 kicking it out of the end zone. So he's taken away the threat of a kickoff return right now, and he's a real weapon for us. Defensively, a lot of the guys played well. Chaz Surratt played well. Tyrone Hopper played well. Tamon Fox, Tamari Fox, Jeremiah Gimmel. So many guys up front were physical, but they threw us a curveball. We thought they'd line up and be physical and run Bailey, the big running back, a lot during the ball game, and we had we worked on 5 defensive linemen all week and 4 defensive backs, and then they come out and throw the ball 56 times. So it caught us completely off guard. It's not at all what we thought. Jurkovic's an outstanding quarterback, and he's much better in our game than he was in the opening game with Duke or his second game with Texas State, even though he had a tremendous drive at the end of the game to win. But we hit him, and we tried to tackle him, and they say he's 225. I think he's more like 245. We could not tackle the guy, and he had a great presence of throwing the ball downfield while we were hanging all over him. And I can't imagine a better tight end in the country than Hunter Long. That guy got hit. He blocked. He covered punts. He was targeted about 20-something times and catches the ball a lot. So, but we need to tackle the quarterback when we get him in our grasp, and we need to force more turnovers on defense. I do think we did lose this game both times last year that we had it at Pittsburgh, when we had to make a play at the end of the game and couldn't make it. At Virginia Tech, there's 6 overtimes. We had opportunities to win, and we didn't make the play. So that's huge progress for us, that we could win a tough game on the road where a lot of things didn't go our way. And again, Tyrone Hopper's the one that forced the quarterback out of the pocket for the 2-point play. He had to throw back across his body and made it an easier interception for Trey. So good for Tyrone Hopper. Offensively, the running backs did a super job. Javonte Williams had a couple of great blocks in protection. Maybe his biggest play of the game is when there's a sack fumble and the ball's going back to about the 40-yard line. There's 3 or 4 Boston College guys going ready to either scoop it and score or lay on it, and he goes between them and fights them off and gets the ball and enables us to have a chance to punt. So a lot of those plays they go unnoticed, but they're huge plays during the ball game. We felt like we've got to be more patient in our passing game for 2 weeks in a row. Last year we had so many deep balls, and we just could score so quickly, and right now people are backing off, and they're making us hold the ball longer, and we've got to get the ball out of our hands, and we've got to get the ball into people's hands more quickly and not have as many sacks. For instance, there's 7:46 left to go in the ball game. Someone was questioning play selection at times when we got in the down near the goal line. There's 7:46. We're on the plus 29 going in. We're 1st and 10. We're ahead 24-16. We've just got to score. We got a field goal puts them in trouble. A touchdown may end the ball game and kill some clock while we're doing it. We throw them first down, and everybody's griping, why did he throw the ball there? Because we're running the ball well. And what you look at, there was a jump call where you try to get them to get offsides, and then your center snaps the ball if they are. Well, they didn't get offsides. We snapped the ball and we threw a fade, which would have been a run in that situation. So we've just got to be smarter as a group, and that was an error that was made that looks like it goes back to play selection. It really wasn't. It's something that's built into our plan that we didn't execute well. And then we go down and miss the field goal. It was a great kick, just a little bit to the left. It had the soccer curve on it. So, but we got to be more patient. We took care of the ball pretty well. We just had the one turnover where we got hit in the back because of a poor protection by a back, and that led to a turnover that led to points. Special teams, we said Jonathan Kim doing everything perfect on kickoffs. Ben Kiernan's doing the same. He punted the ball, directional punts, and kept it out of their hands, and they had done a good job with their punt returns. We didn't have much chance to have punt returns. I think we had 2. One of them was away from Daz, and we always want to catch it in the air, but that one they directional punted across the field, and we couldn't get to it. And the other one, we didn't do a good job of holding up their gunners. Their gunners played better than our hold-up guys, so we've still got to improve in that area. And then there were a couple that we went safe punt because we thought they might fake the punt. The fair catch rule on the kickoff, to me, is a poor rule that should be changed. It was put in for the right reason. The Rules Committee was worried about concussions on kickoff coverage and kickoff return because you're running 30, 40 yards and running into each other. So they wanted to have fewer kickoff returns. So they said, fair catch the ball, move it to the 25, which is a good rule. It's fair, and a lot of people are using it. Where you get a punt and you use a fair catch, if the punt hits the ground and rolls, that you get the ball where it ends up. On kickoff, it's a little bit different. If the ball, you call a fair catch and the ball hits the ground wherever you touch it, if it doesn't go in the end zone is where you get it. If you let the ball go in the end zone, it's a touchback. Well, it's a live ball. So what happened with Michael, their kicker had held the ball up 4 seconds a lot. They had a really good coverage team, so we decided on the deep kicks we were going to fair catch the ball. Michael's one of our smartest players. He sees the kick. It's coming at him. It's high. He's got the fair catch signal up, and all of a sudden it fishtails and dies, and he can't get to it. And then it rolls back, and he touches the ball, and that's where they get the ball, which I thought changed the whole momentum of the ball game. It gave them some hope. It gave them some excitement. They had trouble scoring, and it gave them a short field. So, but that's a rule to me that should be changed. If you're trying to discourage kickoff returns by fair catches, then treat it like a punt. If you call a fair catch, the ball's in the air, take it to the 25 if they want to fair catch it, and we'll have fewer returns. But that's something I will propose to the Rules Committee. Just doesn't come up very often because squibs are squibs and sky kicks are sky kicks, and this one was halfway in between and got us caught off guard. As a team, we had entirely too many penalties. They're a well-coached, disciplined team. They had 12. We had 10. Some officials call more penalties than others in a game. This was one where a lot were called. And the procedure, so you will know, is every Sunday we look at all the penalties and we decide what we think is a fair call, and we try to teach the players not to do it anymore based on that call. And then the second part of that is if we see one that we feel like should not have been called, we send that to the conference office because we want to know if they feel like it was a penalty, then we've got to start coaching things differently, and they will get back to us Tuesday or Wednesday on whether they think that the calls were fair or not. And the second thing I thought we really have got to do a better job of, that's a continuation of last year, is we've got to do a better job of forcing turnovers on defense. We're protecting the ball pretty well on offense, but we're not forcing turnovers. We just had the one interception on the two-point play again, and there was a ball on the ground once we stripped from the quarterback and didn't get on it. So that's an area we can improve. Virginia Tech game, I'm number one, excited that we can have the families of our players there. We can have 3,500 fans that our administration's decided how to divide up between students and season ticket holders and fans, but so good, and to me, for mental health and just for parents to be able to see their sons play, and for family members to be able to see their sons play. And they didn't get to at Syracuse, and they didn't get to again at Boston College. And most of the parents came to the game against Syracuse and stood outside and waited, or they had to go find a place to watch the game. And I hate that for them. It's awful, but they will get to come this weekend, and the players will get the normal amount of tickets that they would have gotten before COVID for their families. So that's really, really positive. Justin Fuente is a friend of mine. He's done a tremendous job at Memphis, where I was calling his games when I was at ESPN, because they had a lot of Friday night games. And then I actually had one of his games where I did his pregame, halftime when they played up in D.C. against West Virginia. So I've known Justin a long time. I knew him as the offensive coordinator at TCU, in fact, when we worked against Gary Patterson a long time ago. He's done an outstanding job. They should be a top 10 team. They're really good. They're 2-0, and they've had a lot of people out. So they are really underrated, and that shows you the fallacy of early season ratings in my estimation. Last year's game, 6 overtimes. The difference was they were much more physical than we were. We had 143 yards rushing, and we only were 9 of 21 on third downs, and we gave up 5 sacks. They rushed the ball last year against us for 254 yards. And now in the first 2 games this year, they've rushed for over 300 yards in both games. So we thought Boston College was going to be a physical game. Our players won't have to worry about a change in game plan from Virginia Tech. They're really good, and they'll line up and they'll run the ball. They're physical on offense. They've got 3 good quarterbacks that can run it and throw it. And Khalil Herbert, their transfer from Kansas, he's gotten 316 yards in 2 games. He's averaging 12 yards per carry. I've never seen anything like that. It's unbelievable. And this guy's he is a great player. He's a lot of fun to watch. And then they've got the big, tall, fast wide receivers. And their defense is very similar to what it was. They're going to be very aggressive. They're going to disguise a lot. They're going to come after you. And just 3 players that I just remember standing out from last year is Rashard Ashby, number 23. He's huge. He's an outstanding player as middle linebacker. Number 5, Gerard Hewitt, a big defensive lineman that knocked us around last year. And number 8, Emmanuel Belmar, defensive end. All 3 of those guys are NFL superstars in the future. And they've got a lot of other guys on defense that'll be stars, but those are 3 guys that just I remember standing on the sideline watching them early in the game last year and being so impressed with their physical presence, much less the way they played with their aggressiveness. Any questions that I can answer?
Okay, thanks, Coach. Just as a reminder, please use the raise hand function. And when you ask your question, please give your name and your media affiliation. We will begin today with Mike Barber. So Mike, go ahead.
Morning, Coach. Mike Barber from the Richmond Times-Dispatch up in Virginia. You hit on Khalil Herbert. I'm curious, as you look at the running game for this Virginia Tech team, the offensive line included, what do you see that's making them so effective through 2 games?
Number 1, Mike, you've got to have a great running back. We've had some great offensive lines with an average running back. We cuss the offensive line all the time. But when you've got a superstar back there, those guys can block less and get more. So he is a superstar. He's one of the best running backs in the country. He's not just good. And he's the difference to me and their team from this time last year. Justin wants to run the ball. They want to be physical, and he is perfect for them, and they're physical in the offensive line. But those great backs make those offensive linemen look much better than when you've got an average back.
And if I could sneak in one more, how difficult is it to prepare for a defense when they've had a different play caller both games and different people in and out of the lineup?
Mike, I don't think the play caller is as big a deal as people would make you think, because you work on the same stuff all the time. So they're going to do the same thing that the other defensive coordinator would have done, because that's who they are, and that's what they prepare for, and that would be us. If Jay Bateman couldn't call defenses, we'd be calling the same stuff. The guy might not be as experienced, and you might not have the right call at the right time sometime, but that's just COVID. That's what all of us are dealing with. It's more problematic for us not to know who's playing. And what we've got to do is figure that the guys it's been 2 weeks that they've dealt with this stuff. You normally have a 14-day window for contact tracing and a 10-day window for COVID, so you figure they're all going to be back. So we just got to plan on being more like an opening game, and we may not have video on some of the guys, but they have done an absolutely amazing job of winning games under adverse conditions. That's just amazing that you can have that many players out and win 2 games. I can't imagine us having that many out. I can't even fathom what your depth has to look like, what your special teams has to look like. So Justin's done an amazing job of managing those ball games with lack of people playing. I figure they'll all be healthy for us.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, let's go over to David Teal.
Mack, I work with Mike up at the Richmond Times-Dispatch. Small sample size, duly noted. You are allowing only 2 yards per rush, which ranks 3rd in the country. To what or to whom do you attribute your success in defending the run thus far?
David, the first thing was the first 2 opponents we've had, Syracuse had a rebuild offensive line and 2 backs opt out. So they had to try to throw the ball, and there were a lot of sacks in that game. And then secondly, Boston College didn't try to run it. I think they had 9 rushes, and we had some sacks. So I think our big test against the run is going to be Saturday for the first time. I thought it would have been at Boston College. I was really concerned. They've got 4 offensive linemen back that from last year that started, all of which got some awards in the ACC for their performance. And they have Bailey, who was 240 pounds. We really thought we would see him just try to pound us. And I think it's obvious what Virginia Tech's going to do. I mean, for 2 weeks, they've rushed for over 300 yards. If you rush for over 300 yards, you're usually going to win the game. And in fact, in my career as a coach for 32 years as a head coach, most of the times when we've outrushed the opponent, we've won the game. I think maybe only 3 times at Texas when we outrushed the opponent, we lost the game, and it was usually turnovers or a real close game. And that's what the big challenge for us this weekend is. So, but I do think we're good on defense, but I think those stats are skewed because of who we've played in the first 2 weeks.
Sure. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, Dina King, you're up.
Hey, Coach, you were talking about family. We know how important Miss Sally is to the football program. What was your thoughts on her not being able to attend the game Saturday, and how did she handle that?
Dana, that was the 3rd time in our 29 years together that she's missed a game. And one of them, she lost her brother and for a Nebraska game. Another one, she broke her leg and couldn't go to Ole Miss with us on the road. So it was tough. It was different because she's been there and she's around the players all the time, and you just don't think about it. But to her credit, she said that COVID's more important right now than anything else, and making sure that she stays safe for me, and that I stay safe. And if I got sick, she would be at home where she could put me upstairs and take care of me. And so we've been really, really careful. She doesn't let me get out very much. I don't go anywhere but over here and back home, and she just thought it was the smartest thing to do. I don't know if she'll do the same thing for Tallahassee or not. I haven't asked her yet, but that's her decision, and she wanted to do it. Now, what we are going to do is I'm buying 6 cutouts for our grandkids, and we're going to put them in the stadium this weekend. I told them that yesterday, and they were so excited. So I said, you all will be at every game now. So we're going to have you a good seat, a good presence, and I'll be able to wave at them before the game.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, Andrew Jones, go ahead.
Hey, Coach, you mentioned the passing game earlier. Sam hasn't completed anything downfield yet. Is that maybe something different that teams are doing to defend him, defend your passing game? Is it the receivers, maybe pass protection, or a combination of those things?
No, I think the biggest thing, Andrew, is they're just backing off. And we were so good with the deep throw last year, and like your question, that's what the players are questioning. Why aren't we getting the deep ball? And we scored too quickly last year. So we have got to have more patience. We'll go 50 yards real fast and then mess something up because we're trying to hold the ball and wait for the deep one. We have got to go back and understand a 4-yard play is a good play and understand that we're not going to be able to score as easily as we did last year. People have great respect for Sam now. People have seen us for a year. They understand that they're going to back off because we've got really good speed. So it's different. And what we've got to do is adjust. And after Syracuse, we said, well, we weren't patient enough. We tried to get too many deep balls. And after yesterday, we said, we aren't patient enough. We tried to get too many deep balls. And I said, wake up. Hey, it is what it is. New world. It's COVID, 2020. They're playing us different. Let's adjust. Let's be smart. So it's time that we fix that this week.
With that said, what is your evaluation of the pass protection that you guys had, especially Saturday against BC?
Pass protection is always different. We, me during a ball game, by and large, fans and media look at it and say, 4 sacks is bad. Might be holding the ball too long. Might have been a coverage sack. Might have been somebody messing up on a twist up front, which happened early in the ball game. But the protection was better than it was perceived. We can't have the penalties. One of the downfields I'm having trouble finding, lineman downfield, but we did hold, and those really hurt us. If you get a sack or a holding penalty, most of the time it will disrupt your drive. They're like turnovers without costing you field position. But those things are so hurtful. That's what we've got to stop. But I think the offensive line's played better than perceived in the first 2 games, considering that we didn't have Josh Azudu.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, CL Brown, go ahead.
Hi, Coach. CL Brown, News and Observer. I was wondering, what is it going to take, kind of piggybacking off of Andrew's question with the passing game, what is it going to take to get Daz Newsome more involved? Is it mainly he's been taken out of the deep game, so that's what's kind of led to him 3 catches early on, or is it something else?
Yeah, no, Phil Longo got a hard job. Everybody's a play caller in America. I've done that job, and everybody gets to call them on Monday after the games or right after the play. I would have run that. Oh, I wouldn't have thrown there. Well, no, I'm the fan now. I'm on the sideline saying, darn, Phil, what's that about, man? It was funny that the position that Daz plays was targeted a number of times Saturday. One time, Toe Groves was in the game because we're trying to get depth and keep people fresh. Another time, Josh Downs was in the game. Toe caught his and made 10 yards or so, and Josh's was a little underthrown, and he couldn't get the ball for the touchdown in the end zone. And then we had Daz with one other one. And then you've got Joffrey Brown, who did great. And then you've got Deami Brown, who did great. And then you got Bo Corrales. You got a lot of guys. And then you got Garrett Walston that's playing really well and blocked well. He needs to get more balls. And then you got 2 really good running backs. And then you got a quarterback that's scrambling for a good play. So we'd like for each one of them to get a bunch of touches every game, but there's only 1 ball. There's not 5. So what we've got to do is make sure. It's funny, when I was at Texas, everybody asked about the guy that didn't get the ball. They never asked about the guy that did get the ball. So, and at Syracuse, he didn't have a lot of touches, but he had the punt returns that were impactful in that game, so nobody said much about it. So I think the biggest thing we've got to do is just keep playing and throw to the open guy. And all of them are good. So we don't have to have Daz catching 10 balls to win a game. If Diami and Bo are catching 10 and Walston catches 4, then they'll start covering them, and then Daz will be more open. But I think there will be with our skill, CL, there will be somebody each week that we could say, why didn't you get him the ball more? I think that's just the kind of offense we are right now. Is they're all talented, and if you sit there and look at who you need to get it to, all of them, they're all really good. So it's a good problem to have, but it's one that our goal will be based on winning and not who gets the ball.
Right. And I was curious too, Storm Duck came out of the game late on Saturday. I was wondering if is he okay? If that game would have gone on, could he have come back in the game? I was just curious what his status, if you could update us on
Okay,
his
you heard Jeremy before the press conference. He will update you on all injuries every Saturday.
Gotcha.
Seems
Thanks.
to be what's happening across the country right now. If we're not going to know who our opponents are going to play, then we've got to be smarter with what we're doing.
Fair enough.
Thank you.
Okay, JB Ricks, go ahead.
Morning, Coach. Thanks for taking out the time. JB Ricks from Spectrum News 1. You and Chaz both mentioned after the win over Boston College that the team has this tendency of getting frustrated because they're not blowing opponents out, and it ends up showing itself on the field. This next opponent in Virginia Tech, is this the type of opponent that you and your coaching staff need, these players need to kind of wake them up to understand that this is like real football, this is ACC football, and any game can be won or lost on any given day?
Yeah, JB, it's a good thought. It's football coaches modern day need to be psychiatrists and psychologists more than football coaches. You think about all we're dealing with in our world. And these guys are between 18 and 22 years old. And they hear from a 7-win bowl game how great they are, but they don't get to practice, they don't get to get any better. And then they get in a game against Syracuse, and people hated the first half and loved the second half. And then they don't get to play against Charlotte, so they got 21 days off. And people are talking about how good they are again. Then you're supposed to blow this Boston College team out based on a game with Texas State that they didn't play very well. And what I tried to talk to the team and staff about yesterday is let's worry about us. Take all distractions out. Don't read. Don't listen. For somebody to tell you that this team is bad and you're good, it's not the best team that wins on Saturday. It's the team that's the best that day. Let's go back to the lessons we talked about last night. Louisiana Lafayette beats an Iowa State team in Ames 31-14. That Iowa State team goes to Fort Worth and beats TCU the second week. That Iowa State team beats Oklahoma the third week. The same one that got beat 31-14. Then TCU goes and beats Texas. I mean, it's crazy. Mississippi State kills LSU. We all say Heisman Trophy quarterback. Leach is going to win the SEC. What a great team, man. This is unbelievable. They get beat by Arkansas, who's lost 20 straight SEC games the next week. Central Florida, young quarterback comes out and says that we're the best team in Florida, loses to Tulsa, gives up 22-3 margin in the second half. So this has gotten down to the craziness of college football anyway, the craziness of these young people, but even more COVID. I mean, this is a weird world out there right now. So what our guys have to do is prepare every week to play the best team that they can possibly play, and play our best and not worry about Virginia Tech, not worry about Boston College, not worry about Syracuse, because they're going to play better against us right now because we've gone from a team that won 2 games 2 years ago to a team right now that's in the top 10. We haven't done this before. We're learning how to win. We're learning how to handle all this stuff, and it's a good thing. It's like having Daz and too many good players, figuring out who to throw to. It's a good thing, but there are issues that have to be dealt with, and that's what we're doing. We're talking to our guys about just play, and just play your best.
Thank you, Coach.
And don't watch that scoreboard. Leave that scoreboard alone. Just don't look up. till the game's over.
All right, Greg Barnes, go ahead.
Hey, Mac, with regard to the kickoff situation in Boston on Saturday, was there any confusion on Michael's part about what he should have done in that role, or was it just a matter of the ball nosediving on him?
I don't think so, Greg. Michael's smart. We worked on those things all week. Javon's really doing a good job with our special teams, and I think it just nosedive. I think it was, and nobody's ever seen that happen before. It's so weird and so unique that but I think the guy kind of missed it. I think it might have been called as a squib kick, and he just got under it too much, and it got too high, and then it started like a knuckleball, and it just dived. But I trust Michael as much as anybody on this team. So it's just a weird one.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, let's go over to Brendan Marks.
Hey, Mac, thanks for taking the time. You mentioned wanting to see the defense create more takeaways, turn the ball over a little bit more. Is there anything that you or Bateman can do to sort of stimulate that, or is that something that just comes as guys have been playing together, taking more time, and sort of getting into more of a regular rhythm without some of those layouts?
Yeah, Brandon, they usually come in bunches. When you get one, you get excited, then you get a bunch of them. And with 21 days off, when you're not tackling live in practice, it's harder to strip. We're constantly talking to the guys about tipping it and stripping it. If you can stop the run on first down, get them backed up, get after the quarterback, make him throw you some balls. I was disappointed in our secondary that there were 56 balls thrown and we intercepted one. There were other balls that we should have broken on and gotten our hands on. We should have fought more far. I really thought we should have done a better job of intercepting balls than we did. But it's obviously a simpleton thought that a head coach would say, let's get more turnovers. Well, yeah. And it's easy to say, okay, you guys, turn it over. Start getting them. And they look at me like, I'm trying, man. I'm trying. So I do think the more confidence we get, the more we'll have more guys around the ball, and that's when you strip one out and get it. We had the ball on the ground. I thought we could have gotten it. We didn't get it. That would have given us 2-1 advantage in turnovers because the offense took care of the ball. But it's definitely something that if we're going to be good, we're going to have to start forcing more turnovers than we did last year or than we have in the first 2 weeks.
Is that also something where, just based on the different styles of offense you've played, expecting Virginia Tech to maybe be a little more ground heavy, that's something that you can emphasize a little bit more this week, is trying to highlight those strips and potentials to knock the ball loose?
Well, it is, but regardless of the offense, somebody got the ball. So take it away. Take it away. We can make excuses all we want, but the truth is they're trying to keep it and we're trying to get it. And the one that does the best job between those two is probably going to win the game. If you usually look at most games, the team that runs it the best and has the fewest turnovers usually wins. This game is not complicated. People are.
Thank you, Coach.
Thank you.
All right, Coach. That's all we've got for you today. We appreciate your time.
Thank you, folks. You have a great week and enjoy Phil and Jay. Ask them all the hard questions now. You saved them. So come on, Phil.